At what point for you in your business did you start doing that and scaling that? Like, hey, I spent $1,000 in ads, 10,000 ads, $250,000 in ads. I love how mellow David is.
I wasn't allowed to play sports when I was growing
You weren't allowed to play sports?
No.
Why?
My parents' religion, so.
You couldn't play sports?
No, I wasn't allowed to.
Were they Mormon? Or?
No, they're Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, those people are worldly.
Yeah.
And if you go play sports with them, you're going to be,
You can't play sports, huh? Did
no.
you, like, if you could play a sport, what would it be? You're sporty now, though.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. I definitely would have played football and probably wrestling.
Huh.
Yeah.
How
You
about
play
you?
any golf?
I did when I was younger. I haven't played in
Any
quite a
good at golf?
while. I was like mid-40s.
David plays golf.
Mid-40s. I was like, what do you mean?
I started playing golf in my
For nine,
mid-40s.
so like, just under 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like,
When I was
is,
young.
that your handicap?
Yeah,
40?
no.
Because that's about what mine is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so like, I'd be in the mid-40s for nine.
For now, okay.
Just under 90.
I thought he started playing golf in his
18.
mid-40s.
That's not bad because that's
pretty good.
under. I mean, that'd be 80s over. And
Yeah.
That was
Roughly.
decent.
I played golf in high school for one reason, so I could get out of school super early.
Yeah.
But I got decent.
I was not a good driver, but I was a really good chipper.
Really?
So for some
I'm
reason,
a really good driver,
good
but
with,
not a good chipper.
yeah, I'm really good with my irons and terrible with my drivers
Really?
and woods.
That's
yeah.
my driver's my strong club.
Yeah, what are you wearing today, dude?
So this is my Mason Garcia jersey. Shout out Mason Garcia, our East Carolina's quarterback and a partner of ours for NIL opportunities. And anybody that's not familiar with that, name, image, and likeness is something that has taken the NCAA by storm in all college sports. But now athletes are able to get paid for their name, image, and likeness, whereas before.
They could.
I mean, they couldn't accept a dinner from a donor or a booster, on the house. That was even off limits. So now they're able to, to use.
They can market themselves.
They can market themselves. They can use they can have their, have shirts printed with their names on the back and sell those and actually make something off of their name, image, and likeness that. The NCAA has been making money for years.
It's kind of important, actually, even thinking about that, like even thinking about new brands or brands now, they have, just so they know, they have the ability in some cases, right, to reach out to athletes in different college towns and stuff. And
yeah.
to represent
So,
the brand.
East Carolina is a, university that's really near and dear to, my father and I's heart. And so we reached out to last year to, an athlete, Miles Berry, and Mason Garcia, who was, behind Holt Nailers, who just had an incredible night last night for the Seahawks.
Was it
4 for 4, 43 yards, a touchdown,
Oh,
20 something yards on the ground.
Good for him,
yeah,
man.
so happy for him. So shout out Holton. You'll never hear this, but if you do, but that's my buddy. But yeah, good guy. But so we partnered with Miles Berry last year, and it was kind of interesting. I really was doing it more to help the players and that kind of thing, and really didn't know what we were going to get out of it. Really didn't expect a whole lot out of it. But he is just an exceptional young man and really, gave us, content and basically kind of the deal was, we gave him, a check for content that he produced with him in our belt. And it was amazing. And he really, it was better.
He essentially became an influencer for you.
Exactly. He became an influencer without even really knowing that he was one, but he took some incredible photography, and those ad sets actually, I mean, they blew it out of the water. And it was wild.
He looks so good,
I mean,
by the way.
We have influencers do stuff all the time, and his work was beat out everything. So that was a great partnership and something that I didn't really expect, but was a really nice surprise. And so again, we're working with Mason this year. We just finished up an incredible commercial with TriWorks. Shout out TriWorks and Josh and his team did an incredible commercial that I can't wait to debut. But that's a partnership with ECU Athletics as the official belt of East Carolina Athletics, and so we'll have that kind of commercial going in to the suites, filming during game day.
David sent out the messages and got us like full access to everything from like locker
it was
rooms
great.
to football
we definitely.
stadium.
Yeah, they were very accommodating, and we were able to get some great shots, in lots of different places. So it was, can't wait for that to debut. But
Cool.
that's
I mean, that all works together in kind of like today's topic about marketing and so forth, and specifically social media marketing for e-commerce businesses. We've talked a lot to you about your brand and where you've come from and all this good stuff. I know you guys work together on a lot of this strategy and things, but how important is that for a business when they're structuring their business and they're structuring their budgets and they're looking at growing and all this stuff, like how important is social media marketing for an e-commerce business?
No, it's essential, and it's really where you start. When you have nothing and you don't have a budget. So it's free to start a Facebook page, and it's free to start an Instagram or a TikTok account. And so as a business, you need to start there. You need to start building that content. You need to start pumping out that content. And these days, I mean, it's not easy, but you can definitely catch some traction and
Sure.
get some some eyeballs on your product that you couldn't do 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Just wasn't possible for that reach to the algorithms
Change
to pick it up and,
yeah.
and put it in front of people that normally wouldn't see your stuff. So, I recommend putting out as much as you can in the hopes that you can catch some traction.
And then at what point, obviously algorithms continue to change. General news feeds, I say news feeds have died in a way compared to what they used to, right? And it's really become platforms of advertising, like Facebook, Meta. It's where you spend money. Meta has everybody's information. You know what I mean? Like we can all talk about privacy and all that good stuff,
yeah.
but they know what you're into. They know what Matt's into. We know Matt likes certain weird things and all that good stuff. Just joking. But it's really good at finding what you like product wise and delivering it in front of you. At what point for you in your business did you start doing that and scaling that? Like, hey, I spent $1,000 in ads, 10,000 ads, $250,000 in ads. Like, what is that progression for someone? What should someone expect and what should they do?
Go ahead.
It's
Just go ahead.
Yeah. My opinion is you shouldn't have a budget. Like if it's profitable.
So, hold on. Like, so what I like about this is, I think this is very important where he's going. You shouldn't have a budget, and explain why.
Well, it seems silly to me if you go, okay, we have a $10,000 budget and we're expecting a 2x ROAS. Okay, well, if you're getting a 2x ROAS, why wouldn't you spend 20 grand?
And I think it comes down to, do you have the inventory to spend 20
Correct.
and
Did
to,
you have the buckles?
to get that? So
Too soon.
But the truth of the matter is, though, that's the beauty of ads is you can turn them up and turn them down like a faucet. So when you have the inventory, you turn them up, and when you don't, or you need a little extra time before the inventory comes in, you can back it off a little bit. But that's the beauty of marketing compared to organic traffic.
Yep.
You can control it.
Right.
Exactly.
How do you gauge it? I know you've talked about the metrics. Everyone talks clicks, all this stuff. But how do you guys gauge it, and how should it be gauged now? And we're talking about e-commerce right here.
I mean, like I've said a couple times in a few episodes that, the MRR, the marketing efficiency ratio.
Yep.
And so I look at
Return on ad spend.
what we spend each day versus, what we're bringing in, and knowing that number that, okay, if we hit that 3.0 plus MRR, then we're doing all right.
So what is that number that's profitable for you, and what can someone expect starting off with it? Is it common for them to start off with in the positive there, or kind of
usually it's going
takes
to
a
be
little bit of time?
much higher. You're going to have, because you're not doing a whole lot of marketing and you're making some money. And so if you have
low initial bump.
if you have a zero ad budget and you're making, that's a 100x. So, so I think in the beginning it's definitely going to be much higher. I think that once you start putting money behind it and using ad spend, then you're gonna have to. It's gonna come down, and I find that and for us it's right above a 3.1, 3.2 is really doing well, and that's when I say making money. I'm talking all the bills are paid, everything is salaries, overhead from every last dollar is thought of and paid for, and then on top of that, now you're making money that can go back into the business.
Cool. Anything else on top of that?
No, I think that's critical. If you don't know your numbers, you can think. Actually, I've seen several businesses that think they're killing it, and they're forgetting to put several of those expenses in there, and so they're scaling it, and all of a sudden they get to 30 days or 60 days out, and whatever money they had for a runway is actually not covering what they owe, and so they're like, uh-oh, and it just and they go away. Like it's hard to recover.
Going back to like the marketing, sales strategy, all those good things, you're spending the money there. Does the content you're using for those ads for reasonable expectations of people listening, right? You can't make a crappy, and then expect this great return. Can we talk a little bit about really, we've talked already about brand standards and guidelines and what you're doing, your messaging, your product, all that. How important is that into like launching ads that really relate?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing though how you'll see an ad that you're like, yeah, I don't know how this will do, and it'll do great. You're like, I don't think this doesn't look very well, but it turns out to crush it, and that's all where Facebook and Meta wants to put those ads and how much they want to put behind it. There's been ads that you ask the question, how much do we need to do?
Yep.
How much do I need to be cranking out content? And, it's crazy how well, one ad will go for an extended, how long it'll go. And I'm like, do we need to refresh it? And they're like, yeah, but it's getting the return that we're looking for. So it's hard to
How long can it take to get that piece of content though? Like if someone should people be making 5, 10, 15 pieces, launching it, testing it, and then dialing it back to 3 or 4? Like what's some of that strategy?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to take pieces and test them and have let the algorithm figure out which ones work best and then take off the one kill the ones that aren't working. For us, we chopped up some videos so that some of the stuff that you guys did with us, we took that video with another video that was doing really well and kind of blended both that content, and it turned out to be a killer one. That messing around with how they're edited and chopped up and seeing which approach works best. If you have the luxury
it's crazy how some things as simple as colors in an ad can make all the difference.
Yeah, some people are going to watch this. Some people are going to listen to this. Could we add your ad for people to watch it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that'd be a great example for somebody to see like the quality of what Josh puts out.
It's incredible.
Then also the quality really of what Anton expects for their stuff to go out.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Yeah. Super cool. Email marketing. Yeah. I know you guys have some systems in place, and we're going to eventually talk about, Shopify and all those integrations and stuff, and maybe not going down that too far.
Yeah, we could have multiple episodes about email marketing. Yeah,
but email marketing strategies and best practices. Let's talk about this in a generic way, and then we can certainly jump into it in a deeper way a little bit later.
So I'll just give a couple numbers. One, it should be a minimum of 25% of your sales. It should be that if it's less than that, we think that there's definitely room for improvement, but it can be as high as...
I'm in that camp where like there's a lot of room. We don't do enough email marketing.
So you're saying 25% of your sales on the website should be return customers from email marketing.
Yes.
And so people that are not doing email marketing on e-commerce are missing a ton of money.
Yeah. So go back.
Come on, David.
I know.
But go back to the concept. Just think through it a little bit. You're buying an ad to get a customer. So on average, you're probably spending, depending, $20, $30, $40.
$40, yeah.
Per customer that you buy. Now they're on your list. They've already received product from you. If you have a great product, they don't mind hearing from you. And now when you go out and make a sale on your email marketing, you have no cost of acquisition other than your CRM, which is dirt cheap compared to advertising. So that's your most profitable sales. And if you think about it, you could literally run your entire business on break even and live off of the profitability of your back end if you're doing it well. And that's the ones that really can scale quickly. So when they say, okay, on the front end, I'm willing to go break even and get as many customers as possible and then bring them back over and over and over through a low cost of acquisition, which is just basically your CRM cost.
I find it interesting that you don't think you're doing a good enough job. As a customer of yours, I'm just saying, like as a customer of yours, I get all the touches, man. I get all the marketing stuff. Yeah. I'm even like hesitant to go view it sometimes because I'm like, I'm not ready to buy. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep the feed clean, and and like in the back of my mind, like straight up, I'm like, I don't want it to spend money on me right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I
like that.
appreciate
I know
that.
this sounds crazy, but it's like, I don't want it to waste money on me right now. Cause I'll like call David or whatever. So like I won't touch your site for a hot minute for stuff like that. Cause I'm like, just don't want to, I don't want to mess him up, dude.
Yeah, I never clicked.
But you know what I learned?
I missed ads twice in 8 years because I know
I know it
love the
costs.
product, but as soon as I click it, I'm like,
But I heard I missed out on the belt that was limited supply because I haven't been clicking enough.
The
Right?
email.
So,
No, always open the emails. So do me a favor, open the emails because that helps.
Okay, yeah,
everything.
and respond.
If you respond.
Great email.
Yeah.
Just do that.
yeah.
That'll help the deliverability. But no, I say we're not doing enough, and that's part my bias of just being jaded
everyone.
by email, and I
Yeah.
need to kind of get over that and realize that it's a business, but I also don't want to bother our customers with a lot of these brands they'll do once a week, and I'm like,
What's funny is
you need to segment, and so if you segment enough and you're sending the right email to the right customer at the right time, then that's okay.
And I'm just asking you this as a little bit of a devil's advocate. David and I have literally wrestled with this for 8 years. You have a different relationship with your customer than other brands have with you. Like, you are definitely a unicorn in the world of e-commerce as far as, like, think about it, 10 years in, 12 years in, 13 years in, you and your dad are still answering these emails at the point where you're doing millions of dollars a year. Most people don't do that. So you do have a relationship, and your unsubscribe rate is ridiculously low because they like hearing from you. Yeah. So
that's true. And you have to bring value. So if you're sending an email, I like to bring value, whether it's a flash sale or a limited edition release, or something that's giving the
worthwhile.
Or hey, we have a new strap. This would go really well with these colors.
Yeah, people aren't offended by that.
No, and it doesn't even have to be a sales. Some of the very best emails that we have are ones that have no call to action, no link to go buy. It's just it's a relationship builder, and it's crazy how many people will get that and they feel good and they'll go on the site. And
I'm not gonna give away what it is, but or what's in it, but our welcome email. And so if anyone has ever purchased from us, and you'll have to buy to see it, but the welcome email is incredible, and I get more replies back from that than anything, of just customers that are like, wow, this made my day. So
cool.
It's awesome.
You use automations for these email stuff. So someone out there, can you talk a little bit about some of the ones that you would recommend? And because it's a process of work, it's a strategy to put these to where they automate sometimes.
Same as Shopify. There's a brand called Klaviyo that is just seamlessly integrated, and they just continue to not rest on, we're the big.
They ate
boy in
MailChimp's
town.
lunch,
and they just keep getting better and better and better.
There's a competitor that's come in the space that's really making a lot of noise in SendLane, which if they're listening, he probably won't. But the owner and CEO is really, really involved into the customer service of it, and they're trying to dethrone Klaviyo, but that's going to be super tough, and that's who we use. That's who we're super ingrained with. So, you have those automations, you have those flows. And when I say flows, that's kind of a customer journey cycle of, they purchase, and then they get the welcome email, and then they get the follow-up, and whether it's the shipping confirmation and kind of those automatic emails that go out to them. And then a week later, maybe you're asking, how their order is and what they think about it and that kind of thing. But having those flows, and right now it's really up for debate because another kind of tool that's come into email marketing, and it kind of goes hand in hand, is SMS marketing. So when I say SMS, I mean text messages. So marketing by text, and that's become huge, and was a ton of money that we were leaving on the table for, but it was still, we were fairly early. I mean, a couple of years ago we started, but that was there weren't too many doing it, but now a lot are, and it's an incredible driver of revenue for us.
Yeah, I can just tell you the only reason you wouldn't do SMS marketing is if you didn't like money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. So it is the number one revenue generator on an e-commerce site, and we know too that an SMS contact is worth about 5 times more than an email.
Yep. Because they open it. I mean, and if they don't want it, it's super easy to say stop. And you're off.
Yep.
And so for us, we have something called the Anson Text Club. And so this is kind of an exclusive text club where you sign up for that, and we'll let them know of flash sales or new releases ahead of anyone else. So, you'll have that opportunity first. So if we have a limited edition drop where there's only 200 straps,
And
they
there's a
get
couple
notified
coming
first.
up, so go get on the list.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a
So-
couple of wicked belts
Yes,
coming up.
yep. So when new releases come out, the Text Club gets notified first,
pretty awesome.
and they get a better deal. So we have a flash sale. We'll do 30% off for the Text Club and 20% off for the email.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an incentive to let us into your pocket and let us have
What's
that
really
kind of
great
access.
about like these conversations is there's really not one thing that you're doing. There's not just one thing that you can do well and be successful. You have to be doing well at a lot of these different things. So
We're
everyone
just
always
doing all of them.
doing all of
Yeah.
them.
Because everyone you don't even have to be great at it, but you have to be consistent. So if you have a consistent SMS that goes out that they're willing to see, you have consistent emails that go out, you have consistent follow-up.
Yep.
And again, if every email that you send is a sale, then why would they open
gonna
it?
stop
If
opening,
they're if they're not ready
They
to
don't
buy
know.
right now, they're not going to open your email. But when you send, like David can certainly partner with other brands like the Tafts and
Yeah.
stuff like that, or even just recommend them in his email, even if he's not a partner. Say, hey, this goes really well with a couple of other brands that I really enjoy. And those emails are eventually going to get to those owners, and they're gonna that's going to create relationships that matter down the road. And it's not a sales thing. It's a, hey, here you have our product, or we wouldn't be emailing you. Now here's a good way to use it, or something that you could pair it with.
Cool. One of the other things is influencer marketing. A huge thing nowadays. Like we could talk about the profitability of that today versus years ago. But is this something that people should be thinking about? Not just influencer marketing, but I think even more than that, kind of like what you're in the jersey, or like collaborations.
Mm-hmm.
Collaborations as for earlier brands, or if you're a more established brand,
and even
there's partnerships.
brand collaborations, and that's something we've done a lot with. I have a lot of friends within the industry that own brands that we've partnered with, and that's a great way to kind of share your audiences,
to build relationships,
innocent.
right?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
don't like build
Yeah.
this thing and then go hide in a closet. Like,
no, I mean
get
network with
outside and
other
meet people.
with other store owners, join groups, join Facebook groups, things
Hustle.
like that. The Shopify Facebook group is great. I'm in there a lot, and they really have a lot of people that ask questions about something that you may have the same problem, or you may be looking for the same solution. So definitely network, and especially as you have a brand, reach out to other brand owners and that complement your brand, so other people within our space, or the lifestyle space, or different kind of apparel. Maybe they sell shirts and obviously not belts, and that's a whole nother story of like we've collaborated with companies on giveaways or something, and they'll be like 10, which I'm not a fan of those, and this is one of the reasons, because there was like probably 7 or so brands that we collaborated with, and one of them was going to do the photos for the shoot. They're like, okay, well, send us your stuff, we'll do the photos. And so we sent them a belt and like the box and everything and all this stuff, and they must have loved it, because like 6 months, 8 months later, they're selling like ratchet style holeless belts.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my
So
So
it's
be
like,
careful who you partner with.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
mean, they basically saw it and were like, oh,
This is a
okay,
good
this
idea.
is
I could
cool.
do this.
Yeah, they were a golf brand, and not one of our competitors. And I think they've they tried it, and if with this style of belt, like if you're not going all in, and if you're not like that's not all that you do, you're not going to be very successful with it, because people aren't coming to you for that. They're coming to you for whatever else you're selling. They're like, oh,
It's a
they
side
sell
item.
this. That's kind of novel. I like the idea, but I don't know. So they'll move on. So I don't even know if they're selling them.
Yeah, and I honestly just think that's a bad energy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
people that do business like
bad.
that, like.
Well, I think they ended up
selling.
selling, and then I mentioned something with the new, I don't know, I made a comment somewhere, and they're like, yeah, sorry, man, the old owners definitely did seem to have done that a lot. They're like, they're like,
This was a common theme.
Yeah.
This was like,
Wow.
the new people were like, they sold it, and we don't have anything to do with them, and sorry that they did that, like,
Yeah.
The influencer partnerships, UGC
yeah.
stuff. I know it's not necessarily on the thing, but there's a lot of value in UGC content nowadays. Especially why it's still popular. It'll be interesting to see how long that burns.
Yep.
As long as it
I'm
stays.
really interested to see how long it takes the consumer to say, you know what,
I've seen this person.
Yeah. And we're guilty of it as well, of using that kind of content but it's, it definitely does sell, it sells the product. People they want to hear about it from their friend, and that's
And
kind
UGC
of,
is user generated
Yep,
content.
yep,
Anybody there worried
exactly.
about like
So-
the letters.
But you touched on influencer marketing. That's one of the things that really took our business to the next level. And I think nowadays it's really tough to find
reasonable
priced,
but like
influencers.
Knowing your, not to talk for you, but knowing your story a little bit on this, because we've talked about it before in the past, is you were really thinking forward on some of this stuff, and you would spend a lot of time. Tell me if I'm misspeaking, but you would be scouting. You'd be looking for people that would relate with your brand in the lower tier of followers, right?
Yeah,
but you saw
and
you saw the talent at early, like, man, this guy's going to be something. So you invested early in that. That paid off big in the end. So even like on the same scope and scale today, like where everybody wants to be an influencer, right? There's probably a lot of micro influencers out there that brands could reach out to and like build that relationship early. And don't expect to and I would say that's so much more valuable today than saying, hey, I'm going to save up $15K and get a video from this big guy, especially if I'm a new brand.
Find a guy that has
the rest of what you have is not set. Like you couldn't make the orders if they came in anyways.
Exactly.
And take that $15K and go find a bunch of micro influencers and like work it that way.
Find the guy that has like 5,000 and that can grow. And I've seen a lot of these guys that start out, they may have, and that's a lot. Like you have 5,000 followers on Instagram, like you're doing something, and but at the same time, it doesn't warrant
sales.
$1,000 for a post, like it's, and so unfortunately some people, they think that it does, but if you can work with one that is, can give
Someone's
you
eager
either,
and hungry.
especially exchange for product while you're, while
That's
you're
what I was
small,
gonna say. There's a lot of
exchange
them
for
that
product.
you can send
Absolutely.
them product.
And that's, we did that for many years. And so
and Matt was talking about another good source of that. Instead of spend the $15K, maybe you do affiliate links and
yeah. I mean, if they really believe that they're driving that much traffic, I always just say, then why don't we give you an affiliate link, and then rather than us give you that money on nothing, on a hope, we'll give you an affiliate link, and every post you make, if it's going to drive a lot of traffic, then you're going to make a bunch of money.
It's like a Jordan Nike deal, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you know how
it worked out for him. So
God, I mean, $4 billion last year.
Yeah.
If you're that good of an influencer, right, it's double down on it, or are you selling snake oil?
Yeah.
Cool. SEO for e-commerce. Like, gosh, I feel like this is such a loaded word nowadays, right? When SEO, like everyone out there says SEO and all those good things, but not to go down crazy weeds and stuff. How important is that? What are some things that we can give in small ways to people out there that want to know if they're optimized?
I'll start because I have a damaging admission. I always thought it wasn't important because I was so bullish on marketing with ads and being able to scale quickly and do that. But we've had a couple of brands that we've worked with recently that have really said, no, we're going to add this as one of our strategies. And it's really difficult with e-commerce because you have so many different products, things are changing, doing all that. It was a lot of labor. Now we can use AI and ChatGPT and that and do it really quickly. And it's made it very efficient to the point that we're using it on every partner brand that we have, and we're seeing the results from it. So I definitely have to say that I used to say, it's great, it's a long-term strategy, you should do it, but
there's no excuse now.
A lot of things to do in e-commerce. It wouldn't be the first thing that I would do, but I would definitely put it on the list of like things that you need to do.
You know what's crazy? We've always been, told we have great SEO with our site, but it was something that I never really paid a whole lot of attention to. But I think that once you went back through it, we were hitting those keywords and in the descriptions or in the whatever it may be. We didn't necessarily have all the tags and stuff that are really important nowadays, and the meta tags and those kind of things, and that stuff that that Matt's working on us with to dial those in. But we always had really good descriptions that really were, pertain to our product. And so when someone was searching for a holeless ratchet belt, we own ratchetbelt.com, and that's something that was the original ratchet belt site in the US, was ratchetbelt.com. The guy was way ahead of his time and really just never got to see the internet become what it did. And I think he was a Korean war vet, maybe that, had discovered it in Korea. And so anyway, long story short, we bought that, but, and not necessarily that drives us a ton of traffic, but it's, it's important to have those keywords pertinent to your business all throughout your site, so that when they're crawling the web, you are the expert in that particular.
How important is keeping the verbiage consistent throughout the website on product? As far as like how the descriptions and things
go.
they need to be different.
Yeah, actually, and that's something
because people love to copy and paste.
You would think that
they just change the
all be
color.
the same,
Can't.
If you do that, it's just considered duplicate content. And so what we've done, part of the strategy is, like, yeah, you have 40 buckles or 100 straps or whatever, just as an example. You don't want the same product description in all 40 buckles. Because if it is, that's just considered
Google's
one
gonna
description.
not look at it.
Yeah, well, they consider it one.
Yeah.
So you think that you're going to, we have it all over. Yeah, but no, you just have it one time.
And I think another thing that really helped us with our SEO was, the other influencers that we were working with that linked to us. So we were working with different blogs and
Backlinks.
and things like
Backlinks are
that.
huge.
So different, backlinks. So
Matter.
That's one of the reasons when we talk to people about social media stuff as well. Like even if you don't use social media, create all the handles. At least they're backlinks to your page and stuff. At least like if you're searching, they're
backlinks
heavy.
are one of the pillars of SEO for sure. It's one of the three pillars.
Cool.